Tonight, rehabilitation of Phase 1 of Port Harcourt Refinery completed more than 2 years after the federal government approved $1.5 billion for its repairs. Dangote Refinery takes delivery of its second crude consignment from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL. And President Bola Tinubu arrives Lagos ahead of Christmas celebration.
On business news tonight, oil prices dropped more than 2% as Angola renounces its membership from the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries.
On sports news tonight, European Super League promoters proposes a new competition following ruling by the European Court of Justice that UEFA and FIFA contravened EU law by preventing the formation of a Super League.
And from Abuja, Senate confirms nomination of 11 Supreme Court justices as lawmakers condemn impropriety of leaving vacuum in the Supreme Court for an extended period.
And in international news from London, Czech police say several people have been killed and dozens injured in a reported shooting near a university in central Prague.
10 days to the end of the year and the deadline set by the federal government, rehabilitation work on the Port Harcourt Refinery has reached a major milestone with what the NNPCL describes as the mechanical completion of the first phase of the project. During an inspection tour of the refinery, the group managing director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, Mr. Mele Kyari, says this is in keeping with the timeline to complete the project by the end of December. The Minister of State for Petroleum Oil, Heineken Lokwabiri, who briefed the media on the development, says it represents a major landmark in the country's quest for self-sufficiency in petroleum products, as well as becoming a net exporter of fuel.
Today is a very unique day. You can recall that we ought to have held this TECO meeting sometime in the month of November. But for some reason, maybe by providence, I was outside the country, GCO2 was outside the country, EVP was outside the country. Most of us were outside the country, and so we couldn't hold this TECO. We rescheduled, and then something happened again, we were not in the country. And then eventually we resolved that it's better for us to hold today's TECO. That will coincide, with the commencement of operations, of the Port Harcourt Refinery. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to bore you anymore because, people who have spoken before me have spoken what I would have said, but just to announce to Nigerians that the fulfillment of our pledge, to bring on stream Phase 1 of the Port Harcourt Refinery by the end of 2023 and the subsequent streaming of the Phase 2 in 2024, we heartily announce the mechanical completion of flare startup on the 20th of December 2023. This heralds the commencement of production of petroleum products after the Christmas break. We want to thank Nigerians for their patience and the trust on the NNPC to deliver on our promise and mandate on the rehabilitation of our refineries. This is also another landmark on the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration.
Well, getting the Port Harcourt Refinery and the other two in Warri and Kaduna back in operation has remained elusive for years, and that's in spite of trillions of naira budgeted for their maintenance. But with today's announcement, there are questions as to what the mechanical completion and flare startup really means and what's next for the refinery. Our energy correspondent, Olu Phillips, is at the refinery site in Rivers State and now reports.
In July of 2021, the GCO NNPC Malam Mele Kyari spoke to Channels Television exclusively and told us that the preliminary work that has commenced at the Port Harcourt Refinery is part of a grand plan by Nigeria to return the country to an energy sufficient country and a net exporter of petroleum products. And he did also say that the 3 refineries are not dead and that refineries are designed to last for more than 100 years. A lot of people thought that was a fluke. A lot of people thought that was trash talk. Sometimes and some months ago, Channels Television did also return here exclusively to see workers and technical people, sprayers, engineers, all working with their back bent, drilling, screeding and all of that to bring this Port Harcourt refinery, 210,000 barrels capacity refinery, back to work. And we did bring you that exclusive report from this refinery and did say that it does appear from what we see that the presidential directive to get the refinery open running by December and contribute to the renewed hope agenda will be realized. Today, again, we are here at the Port Harcourt refinery. And I can tell you this, what has happened is this. The Port Harcourt refinery has achieved a mechanical completion. It's important for you to understand how this contract was structured. It's an EPC-IC contract, meaning EPC and IC. So engineering, procurement, and construction, then installation and commissioning. All of these processes have taken place and have come to an end, and that means you can safely say that it has achieved mechanical completion. Howbeit, just to understand the way these things work, it means that there are 2 refineries here in one. The first one, which is the 60,000 capacity refinery, is the one that has been set up and running today, and the other one, which is the 150 capacity, is coming on strongly in terms of rehabilitation and in terms of work and construction and all of the new installations that needed to be done to make sure that they all come back to stream. So today, what has happened is there's a mechanical completion, and what that simply also means is that it is ready to receive product. But as it were, in your construction or in building construction, for instance, where you have just finished installing your pumping machine, your plumbing wares, all your plumbing lines, all your electrical lines, you now go into what you call testing. That process is what is going to happen to ensure that everything that has been done, where you need some fine-tuning, you do that. Where you need to tune down, where you need to tune up, you can do that. And once the products come in, then this refinery begins to crack those products, and Nigeria can simply say it has returned to the days when refining is done in country. From the Port Harcourt refinery, this is Olu Phillips reporting for Channels Television News.
Well, indeed, getting the Port Harcourt refinery back on track is no mean feat, as the NNPCL says its employees worked day and night for over 9 million man-hours to get the refinery back on stream. Our next report takes us through the journey of the Port Harcourt refinery since it became operational in 1965.
The nation's oldest refinery emerges from a decade of failed deadlines, more than 2 years after the federal government approved funding of $1.5 billion to repair the facility. By 1972, 7 years after it was built and commissioned, the Port Harcourt Refinery 1 was debottlenecked from the initial 35,000 barrels per day capacity to 60,000 barrels per day production capacity. By 1989, another refinery was commissioned on the complex, known as the Port Harcourt Refinery 2, with a 150,000 refining capacity by the then military head of state, General Ibrahim Babangida. Together, this complex has a 210,000 crude refining capacity. According to international best practices, a standard refinery like this should undergo turnaround maintenance every 2 years. But between 1989 and now, it has skipped many years to witness only 3 turnaround maintenance, a culture that hopefully would change going forward. By 2019, owing to suboptimal performance of just 20%, the plant took its last breath. In 2019, the managing director of the NNPC celebrated the completion of the first phase of the refinery as one of the achievements of his management after a few months in office. But the project was to miss a number of deadlines for completion after the federal government awarded Italian engineering firm Maria Tecnimont a $1.5 billion contract for the rehabilitation work in April 2021. As the nation kept tabs on repair work, then Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timi Silva, said the refinery in Port Harcourt would restart operation in December 2022. But December 2022 came and passed. Nothing happened.
It has also secured funding for the rehabilitation of the 3 existing refineries to ensure the nation's domestic refining capacity.
In May 2023, however, during Channels TV's visit to the infrastructure, the dark clouds appeared to shift for some indication of brighter days. Our cameras toured to capture footage of newly installed pumps replacing the old, welding works certified to meet what is a December deadline that has finally been met. Amid high hopes, however, that it would bring the much-needed relief to the nation's huge burden of petroleum products importation.
Well, staying in the sector, Dangote Petroleum Refinery and Petrochemicals plant has taken delivery of about 1 million barrels of Bonny Light crude grade from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. The cargo is the second of 6 million barrels of crude oil sailed to Dangote Refinery's single-point mooring and discharged into the refinery's crude oil tanks. The company says the latest supply, which comes days after the maiden delivery, will facilitate the initial run of the refinery and the production of petroleum products.
On board a naval boat, journalists from different media organizations embark on a sea voyage. The over 1-hour journey on the Atlantic Ocean is destined for a large vessel, MT Otis, which just arrived from Bonny Terminal. It's the second voyage of the vessel to the Dangote Single Point Mooring, SPM. The vessel has on board a cargo of about 1 million barrels of crude set to be discharged to the Dangote refinery.
We're receiving the second consignment of crude.
The managing director of Dangote Port Operations speaks more on the latest crude delivery.
They're being sourced locally. From the first one that came was from Agbami. This is coming from Bonny Terminal. We have another one coming from Odudu Terminal. The management of Dangote is also very eager to make sure that the refinery actually begins to churn out products from the refinery. And I believe that that's the essence of all of this. We're trying to demonstrate that the investment that have been put into this project is a worthy investment, is a patriotic investment by the president of the Dangote Group, and I think we really need to commend him.
Dangote Refinery also assures of security of its offshore facilities responsible for conveying and discharging crude.
Security of the maritime domain is the exclusive responsibility of the Nigerian authorities, and particularly the Nigerian Navy. And as you can see, we have the presence of the Navy here, and we have their patrols 24/7 around the facility and within the corridor, Lekki Port corridor here.
The refinery operations have been long incoming amidst expectations from Nigerians to have more petrol and other products of crude oil from the refinery. 3 more cargoes with approximately 3 million barrels of crude expected to be discharged at the SPM before the end of 2023.
Well, in part 2, after the break, President Bola Tinubu arrives in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial capital, ahead of the Christmas celebration. That's in a moment. So stay with us. Well, welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television Lagos. But here's a reminder of our top stories. rehabilitation of Phase 1 of Port Harcourt Refinery completed more than 2 years after the federal government approved $1.5 billion for its repairs. Dangote Petroleum Refinery takes delivery of its second crude consignment from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. President Bola Tinubu arrives Lagos ahead of Christmas and New Year celebration. And Czech police say at least 14 people have been killed and dozens injured in a reported shooting near university in Prague. President Bola Tinubu today arrived in Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, where he was received by the state governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and other members of the state cabinet at the presidential wing of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja. The president, who is in Lagos for the Christmas and New Year celebrations, arrived to a rousing welcome by party supporters, after which he boarded the presidential helicopter headed to Dodon Barracks of Alinde, Lagos. Well, outside our shores now, a London court has refused to grant an application by Process and Industrial Development, P&ID, seeking to appeal the judgment halting the enforcement of its $11 billion award against the federal government. In his ruling, Judge Robin Knowles rejected P&ID's argument that the case should be returned for arbitration and affirmed that the damages award should be thrown out completely. On October the 23rd, Judge Knowles halted the enforcement of the award by upholding Nigeria's prayer that it was obtained by fraud and in violation of Section 68 of the English Arbitration Act 1996. However, P&ID sought permission to appeal the October 2023 judgment. Its lawyers argued that the privileged documents that were found in P&ID's possession played no role in its victory at the arbitration. But in the judgment today, Judge Knowles refused P&ID's permission to appeal, effectively putting an end to the case, as a company cannot apply for permission from the Court of Appeal. Now, for more on the news at 10, let's head over to our Abuja studio where Millicent Walker is sitting by. Hi, Millicent.
Hi, Kaide. Good to see you again. Well, we begin in Abuja at the National Assembly, where the Senate has confirmed the nomination of 11 justices of the Supreme Court. They were confirmed after a debate by the lawmakers who not only frown at the practice of leaving a vacuum in the Supreme Court for an extended period before making the appointments, but also advocated for an increase in the judiciary's budget. Our National Assembly correspondent, Gloria Mizuke, has more.
The Senate resumes plenary 24 hours after 11 Supreme Court justices nominated by the National Judicial Council were screened by the upper legislative chamber. A debate ensues following the submission of the report by the Senate Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters, chaired by Senator Tahiru Monguno.
The committee examined their curriculum vitae and other supporting documents and thereafter screened them. There is no criminal record or adverse report found against the nominees, as records, checks, and other forms of investigation by relevant security agencies did not reveal any negative trace against them.
I want to join Senator Ahmed Lawal in begging the Senate to look at the budget of the judiciary, not only in the Supreme Court or Court of Appeal, even the magistrates, the state courts, they're in a mess.
I'll follow through the distinguished Senator Barrow Jibril to approve the work done and pass the confirmation of the Supreme Court justices.
Dissolving into the Committee of the Whole, the lawmakers approve and give confirmation.
Will the Senate approve the nomination of Honorable Justice Mohammed Baba Idris for appointment as Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The Senate also considered a bill for an act to amend the 2023 Appropriation Act to amend the implementation year and the 2023 supplementary budget from December 31, 2023 to March 31, 2024. Similarly, at the House of Representatives, both bills are passed. Having concluded the 2024 budget process, some members of the Senate raised concern over the exclusion of the implementation of the gas revolution policy in the budget submitted for consideration.
Mr. President should provide a budget to the National Assembly. Is the CNG thing working? Today they want to get money from stakeholders. The government has not provided money. Is that how we are going to run the gas revolution policy of government?
Lawmakers in the upper legislative chamber also confirmed the nomination of Mrs. Oladunjoye Olayinka as Commissioner representing Lagos State in the National Population Commission. The Senate subsequently adjourned plenary to December 29, while the House of Representatives is expected to resume on December 30. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Staying with judiciary matters, the Supreme Court has reserved judgment in an appeal by Governor Abba Yusuf of the New Nigeria People's Party seeking to overturn the decisions of the tribunal and appeal court nullifying his election victory in the March 18th governorship poll. The five-member panel led by Justice John Okoro also reserved judgment in the appeal by the candidate of the All Progressives Congress in Benue State, Sadiq Abubakar, seeking to overturn the election of the PDP candidate Bala Mohammed. Other stories, federal lawmakers elected on the platform of the All Progressives Congress from Benue State have carpeted Governor Hyacinth Alia for what they consider anti-party activities, high-handedness, corrupt tendencies, and running a one-man show. The Benue State caucus in the National Assembly stated their observation during a media briefing in Abuja where they called on the president, Bola Tinubu, to intervene.
Gathered here are senators and members of the House of Representatives elected under the platform of the All Progressives Congress, as well as members of the Fourth Estate of the realm.
May I, at this juncture,
the lawmakers have a bone to pick with Governor Hyacinth Alia of Benue State.
Having watched with apprehension the absence of democratic leadership in Benue State in the last 6 months, exemplified by the arrogant and egocentric conduct of Governor Hyacinth Alia, we have decided to draw the attention of Mr. President and other leaders of APC in Nigeria to seek their immediate intervention before the fortunes of APC in Benue State are totally destroyed by the Benue State governor. It is necessary to state from the onset that we have collectively and individually drawn the attention of the leader of APC in Benue State, Senator Dr. George Yakumen, who is now the Secretary to Government of the Federation, and who has on several occasions pleaded for patience from us in the anticipation of a possible change of attitude from His Excellency Governor Hyacinth Alia.
They are also questioning the governance style of the governor.
Of the state, we have not had it this bad under the current leadership of Father Hyacinth Alia. It is on this note, I want to say it is a crying shame that Benue State has become the personal property of one man who allocates government positions to his family members and friends. A man whose calling as a priest is to preach unity, fairness, and equity. Governor Hyacinth Alia has, instead of uniting the state and making it an example as a man of God that he should be and expected to be, has elevated nepotism and hatred against the Idoma-speaking people of Benue State to a statecraft and made corruption an instrument to be glorified.
The lawmakers say they have exhausted all avenues to see the governor, which has failed to yield any results.
And your multiple award-winning station, Channels Television, comes with something new tomorrow at 9 a.m. with the debut of our program Inside Sources with Laolu Akonde, where he speaks with the first civilian governor of Osun State, Chief Bisi Akonde. In their conversation, Chief Akonde reflects on Nigeria's journey from military rule to democracy and touches specifically on the challenges of sustaining a democratic culture.
The society itself needs a renewal, and it's a matter for us to research. I won't say I have an answer for it, because I was thinking or learning or developing myself for my generation and the immediate generation behind me. And I think, all generation will have its own norm. So those who are growing now, will be able to reform, their own generation and the generations behind them. If, to say the military never truncates our own generation, we will have had the opportunity of handing down the processes to generation immediately behind us and those coming behind them. And it will have been a culture, coming from a historical perspective. Yeah. But because of the 29 years interregnum by military, the orientation has changed totally.
So are we going to need another 29 years of democratic rule?
It may be more. Wow. If we are not careful. We pray there will be no military in government again.
For the full interview and more, do join Laola Akonde 9 a.m. every Friday only on Channels Television. Still to come on the news at 10, oil prices drop more than 2% as Angola renounces its membership of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. That's on Business News. Join us again.
Well, in the spirit of the Yuletide, the Benue State government has held the maiden edition of the Renewed Hope Initiative Elderly Support Scheme Christmas Party to bring joy and love to senior citizens. Under the initiative, which is a program by the First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, 250 persons are to be given 100,000 naira each.
It's a heartwarming party to celebrate the spirit of Christmas at the maiden edition of the Renewed Hope Initiative Elderly Support Scheme in Benue State with the theme Better Days Ahead. The Renewed Hope Initiative is a program by the First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu. The event, hosted by the wife of the governor of the state, brings together senior citizens for a festive and joyous occasion.
In a special way today, I want to thank the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Remi Tinubu, through her program, Renewed Hope Initiative. Today is recognizing Ebonyi elders and widows.
Exuding warmth and holiday cheer, the Christmas party was filled with laughter, music, and delightful moments of joy for the elderly participants. The wife of the governor of Benue State, speaking on behalf of the First Lady of Nigeria, announces financial support for elderly beneficiaries.
These selected beneficiaries will receive a sum of 100,000 naira each. And our governor has with another number of 250 widows, which equally will receive 100,000 naira each, and a bag of rice of the 500 team. The total sum to be disbursed in 950 million naira, as approved by the governing board of the Renewed Hope Initiative.
Meanwhile, in his speech, the state governor also announces his contribution to the cause.
I have resolved with the caucus and also the principal officers of government yesterday when I came in that every worker in Benue State government, not local government, I'm not managing local government. I'm going to have a meeting with the council chairman this evening. Every worker must get 100,000 naira from us.
The Renewed Hope Initiative Elderly Support Scheme's Christmas party succeeded in capturing the true spirit of the season. It aimed to create a sense of community, providing the elderly with a memorable and uplifting experience during the holiday season.
Also security now, the Imo State Police Command says it has arrested a deadly IPOB ESN terrorist commander named Ikechukwu Ba of Emo Mbidi in Oru West local government area of Imo State. According to a statement issued by the Imo State Police spokesman, Henry Okoye, operatives of the command's anti-kidnapping squad led by CSP Oladimeji Odeyeyuwa stormed the hideout of the suspect and arrested him and 3 others based on actionable intelligence. On interrogation, the suspect is said to have confessed to being a member of the Eastern Security Network terrorist group commanding with the Axis, and stated further that he masterminded the attacks on Amuma police station, killing of soldiers at Mbidi and Awumama. He also disclosed that he receives funding from the Finland-based Simon Ekpa to carry out terrorist attacks in the state. Well, the Nigeria police has dismissed 2 special constabularies caught in a viral video trying to extort money from a Dutch biker. The Oyo State Commissioner of Police, Hamzat Adibola, announced their dismissal as the state's command headquarters, Ele Ibadan. At the sober gathering, the 2 special constabularies were stripped of their uniforms by officers of the Nigeria police. The duo, Jimo Lukman and Karim Fatai, were seen in a viral video along Moniya Iseyin Road demanding money from a tourist on a motorcycle who told them she was going to Abuja. Announcing their dismissal, the Commissioner of Police described the act as a deliberate defilement of the professional ethics of the Nigeria Police Force and hopes that the dismissal will serve as a deterrent to others. For the company news now, one of Nigeria's technology solutions companies, Amal Technologies Limited, has unveiled a facility for the production of gas leak detection devices and printed circuit boards. The chief executive officer of the company, Mr. Shehu Abdullahi, explained that the facility, which is located in the do-industrial layout of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, was made possible through the support of the Nigerian Contents Development and Monitoring Board.
Senior government officials, including ministers, are in attendance at the commissioning of the Amal Technologies production facility for gas leak detection devices and printed circuit boards. Amal Technologies Limited is one of Abuja's fastest-growing innovation center, providing technology solutions across various industries. The latest technology from the company is the result of research in the nation's gas exploration effort.
As a technologist and an innovator, I should have a device that will let me know anything or whatever is going on in my house. So that was the story behind this Amal gas leak detector.
The Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, through its Research and Development Innovation Intervention, supported the development of the product.
We have a center within the board which does 3 basic things: venture sourcing, looking out, sending out annual call for proposals to look at how researchers can construct problem statements to address the peculiarities of the Nigerian environment.
As Nigerian development priorities tend towards gas utilization, an increase of gas utilization is becoming more compelling to deploy safety and preventive tools such as the Amal Smart Technology Gas Leak to ensure safety of life and properties.
The Minister of Solid Minerals and Development, who was the chief guest at the commissioning, commends the efforts of the company.
What we are doing today, commissioning this thing, Amal Technology is setting a pace. And of course, it synchronizes with the President's Renewed Hope agenda. Because this is giving us hope. It's not only giving the youths hope, it's giving us, the elders, hope as well.
The CEO then led the delegation on a tour in the facility. The company is hoping that the technology will address the incidents of gas leakages and reduce fire outbreaks.
And for more business stories on the news at 10, here's Joke Rogers.
Thank you so much, Kaya. The international oil prices dropped by as much as 2.4% today following Angola's decision to leave the Organization of Oil-Producing Countries. The country's departure from the cartel follows its protest about OPEC Plus' decision to cut its output quota for 2024, joining other mid-sized producers like Ecuador and Qatar, who left the oil producers' bloc in the last decade. Analysts say Angola's departure raises questions about the unity of OPEC and OPEC Plus, the wider group that includes Russia and other OPEC allies. Angola's exit from OPEC is seen by many as a blow to the Saudi-led oil producer group that's seeking to rally support for further output cuts to prop up oil prices. And here in Nigeria, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission says it's raked in over 56 billion naira as internally generated revenue in 2023. The Executive Vice Chairman of the FCCPC, Mr. Babatunde Irukera, gave the figures at a strategic media engagement in Abuja. During the period, the Commission remitted 22.4 billion naira to the government treasury, with over 90% of the IGR generated from penalties imposed on various companies and organizations. According to the FCCPC boss, the Commission has become self-funded since the beginning of 2023, as it has vacated from government's annual budgetary provisions. Let's move on to Zamfara State, where the governor, Dauda Lawal, seems to be giving greater attention to security, health and education in the next fiscal year. Governor Lawal made the pledge while presenting the state's 424.3 billion naira budget before the State House of Assembly. He also promised to end banditry in the state, which he says is responsible for the snail pace of development.
With development partners and the private sector to support economic growth in our state. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, the 2023 budget is strategically crafted to focus on 6 key factors of priority: security, education, agriculture, economic growth, health and infrastructures. These are pivotal in propelling our state towards enduring development.
And from there, we head to the domestic stock market, which closed the day with yet another historic high in less than 24 hours from the previous milestone, amid continued buying interests from local investors. Ini John Mekwa has the details. Thank you so much, Joke. It looks like Santa has taken residence at the NGX and investors are taking position ahead of 2024. That is how to explain hitting 73,000 level on one day and 74 the very next day. That's right, we're doing 74,289.02 after the market gained 1.21% and building on the success that we have hit at 40 trillion naira. And this has brought 488 billion naira into the market in just one day, thanks to the Fugas. And the Fugas led by the FBN Holdings. See them there, 4.80%. This means 1 naira 10 kobo on each share that you own. If you own shares of FBN Holding, they now close at 24 naira. We can see UBA also follows suit, but you see there's still a lot of difference right there. GT Unchange, but Accessco and Zenith followed in that same vein. Expectedly, this has sustained that green color that we see in the banking count on 1.41% right there. Consumer goods and oil and gas, well, had little impact today because while the market added 488 billion, it looks like Santa will be spending Christmas at the NGX, hosted by the Bull. That's business news tonight. Back to you, Kayode.
Well, thank you, Joke. Hamas says that Palestinian groups have rejected the prospect of further hostage releases until Israel agrees to end the war in Gaza. But this comes as talks in Cairo continue over reaching a new ceasefire in the conflict. Here's Simon Pusey with all the international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Czech police say people have been killed and injured in a reported shooting near a university in central Prague. Videos posted online show people running from the university campus. Reports suggest the incident occurred at Charles University Faculty of Arts located in Jan Palach Square. Authorities said the whole of the square and surrounding area was closed off. Police urged citizens to stay away from the scene and remain indoors. The European Court of Justice has said banning clubs from joining a European Super League was unlawful and UEFA and FIFA are abusing a dominant position.
El Tribunal de Justicia, Gran Sala declara.
It comes after a case was brought by the ESL and its backers claiming UEFA and FIFA were breaking competition law by threatening to sanction those who joined the breakaway league. The European Union's highest court added that did not mean a breakaway league would necessarily be approved.
A22 wants to create the world's most exciting club football competition.
On hearing the ruling, sports development company A22 proposed a new competition with 64 men's and 32 women's teams playing midweek matches in a league system across Europe.
Participation will be based on sporting merit. There will be no permanent members, and clubs will remain committed to their domestic leagues. A22 proposes to create Unify, a direct-to-fan streaming platform, which would be the place that fans turn to enjoy their passion for football, to connect with their clubs and favorite players, to find the latest news, and most importantly, to view live matches for free.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán says the European Commission is blackmailing Hungary by withholding billions in frozen funds over rule of law concerns. Orbán said the blackmail is a fact, even admitted by the blackmailers themselves, members of the European Parliament.
Az meggyőződésem, hogy Ukrajnának 50 milliárd eurót adni 5 évre előre.
Orbán told reporters in Budapest during a press conference, "You cannot blame me for doing everything I can to promote Hungary's interests in such a blackmailed situation." Orbán's government has been embroiled in a long-standing dispute with Brussels, which has frozen billions of EU funds intended for Hungary over concerns about human rights and the rule of law in the country. An Oklahoma judge has exonerated a man who spent 48 years in prison for a murder he didn't commit, the longest known wrongful sentence in U.S. history. Glenn Simmons was freed in July after a district court found that crucial evidence in his case was not turned over to his defense lawyers. On Monday, a county district attorney said there was not enough evidence to warrant a new trial. In an order on Tuesday, Judge Amy Palumbo declared Mr. Simmons innocent. Angola is leaving the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, because membership is not serving its interests. That's according to their oil minister. Angola, which joined OPEC in 2007, produces about 1.1 million barrels of oil per day, compared with 28 million BDP for the whole group. Oil prices extended losses on the news, with Brent prices down over $1. And thank you for the music, London's authorities might say, after Swedish pop group ABBA's digital concert residency raked in £178 million in terms of net economic benefit to the British capital in its first year alone. ABBA Voyage recreates the famous 70s group as high-tech digital versions of themselves from their heyday, thanks to motion capture technology. The show, which has been seen by more than 1 million people, generated a total turnover of £322.6 million in the 12 months since it opened in May 2022.
It's so nice to see all the faces and all the expectations and everything. It goes right into your heart, and I'm so happy to be here.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon. Hello and welcome to Sport News. So the Nigeria Premier Football League Match Day 15 games played this evening. Gombe United beat Katsina United to record their 6th win of the season. Akwa United are still stuck on the relegation zone as they were held at home by visiting Sunshine Stars of Akure at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital. Bendel Insurance edged out Abia Warriors by a lone goal at the Samuel Gbemudia Stadium in Benin City, while Accra United and Niger Tornadoes all recorded home wins. The Remo Stars have now reclaimed top spots from Doma United following a 2-0 win against Lobby Stars. And Bayelsa United hosts Sporting Lagos to a 1-0 draw here in Lagos. Well, away from our shores, following today's ruling by the European Court of Justice that UEFA and FIFA contravened EU law by preventing the formation of a Super League, the promoters of the Sports League have now proposed a new competition with 64 men's and 32 women's teams playing midweek matches in a league system across Europe. Today's judgment by the European Court of Justice earlier today is seen by many as a landmark ruling that could change the way football is run all around the world.
League system with just 14 matches means that absolutely every match counts. Clubs that almost never play each other will now compete regularly on the European stage and generating even a greater rivalry. At the same time, there is mobility between the leagues with promotion and relegation and with an ongoing strong connections to domestic leagues. And finally, there would be an incredible season and knockout stage. We think this proposal is fan-centric, it's exciting, and it's capable of achieving what is, admittedly, a very ambitious goal.
Meanwhile, UEFA President Alexander Seferin says the European Court of Justice ruling that the European football governing body, that UEFA and FIFA, contravened EU law by preventing the formation of a Super League was not an endorsement of the idea. Mr. Seferin says there was a stark contrast between the press statement, which was released, and the actual judgment. To some cheering news now, Luton Captain Tom Lockyer has been discharged from hospital after suffering a cardiac arrest during a Premier League match. Tom collapsed in the second half of Saturday's match at Bournemouth, and the game was subsequently abandoned. And thankfully, we hope to see him on the pitch as soon as possible. That's Sports News Tonight. I am Kelly Egiga. It's back to Kayode.
Well, thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. Rehabilitation of Phase 1 of Port Harcourt Refinery has been completed more than 2 years after the federal government approved $1.5 billion for its repairs. We also told you that Dangote Petroleum Refinery has taken delivery of its second crude consignment of about 1 million barrels of Bonny Light crude from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL. And Czech police have said that several people were killed and dozens injured in a reported shooting near a university in Prague. And that's the news at 10 for tonight, everyone. Thank you for watching. I'm Coyote Okikili. Good night.